Hello, and welcome to Stormy Woodwork. My name is Matt. Today, I'm going to show you how to make your own lathe tool. Stick around and find out how. I'm going to start off by showing you guys some of the tools I've already made. This one's a bit longer. It's actually the longest one I have. Has a round carbide insert. And it's made out of two pieces of wood that I just glued together and turned on the lathe. Sanded it down, put a coat of boiled linseed oil on it, epoxied the bar in, and good to go. Here's a square carbide insert tool. And here's it's known as a detail. At a point, you can use this for a lot of things, making little bead overs, little grooves. It's a really handy one. Now, this is something you'd pretty much only use on the outside of your bowl, your spindle, whatever you're turning. So you don't need to have a long tool. Let's see. Quite a bit of size difference. This is something I use more for hollowing out the bowls. So you have to have that reach to get inside the bowl, and you have to have enough on the back end so you can counteract the downward force here. So what do you need? Well, you need your wood blank. It's just two pieces of wood that I've CA glued together. There's a copper plumbing fitting to use as a ferrule, which I don't know exactly how important this is, but its job is to help prevent this end from splitting. Because as you got the forces rocking back and forth, the wood wants to break apart. This helps to stop that from happening, so it's a good idea. And this is just a 3/4 inch male, female, or whatever you want to call it, coupler. Bought it at Home Depot for 88 cents. So for under $1, gives you that much more insurance. Steel bar. This is 3/8 inch by a 36 inch piece. I picked it up at Home Depot for about $8, I believe. And your last component is your carbide insert. Picked it up at Woodcraft for $15. Now you may be asking, why build your own if you can just go and buy one? Some of these tools go for as much as $150 each. Here, I've got $25, $30 in materials. This is just some wood I've had laying around. This handle was made out of a piece from a pallet, hence all the nail holes. Now, some of the tools you're going to need. You need a drill bit and a tap. Now, for the easy wood tools, that screw requires number 8 by 32. Picked this up at, I believe, Lowe's. Don't remember how much. But it comes with the proper size drill bit and a tap. You're going to need some drill bits, an angle grinder, and a grinding disc. Also, a drill. Or in my case, I'm going to use a drill press. That is the majority of everything you may need. And, well, obviously a lathe. So now we'll move on to the next step. So the materials you're going to need. You're going to need some epoxy, a copper waterline coupler, the carbide insert. I'm using 3/8 inch square stock. You may want to get 1/2 inch if it's available, but that was the largest they had at my local Home Depot. And good sized chunk of wood to make your handle out of. This is actually two pieces of wood that I've CA glued together and let it sit for a couple hours. First thing to do is determine your length. One that I've made before. I know that I want this to be a little bit longer. This is about 8.5. And using the length of my longest drill bit, got about 4 3/4 I can go in, maybe 5 inches. So 8.5, 4.5, 13. I'm just going to call it 14 inches. With that in mind, we'll get started. It's a good idea beforehand to clean your bars off. There's residual oil and whatnot from machining. Go ahead, I'm going to mark this 14 inches. You can make it however big or small that you want. Now, let's get started. There's our steel bar. Next thing you want to do, take out your cutter and you want to place it on here. Kind of follow the profile where it stops, put your edge at. Get it as centered as possible. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is on the back of the square, that little thing you pull out is a scribe. So while holding this in position, just grab that as best I can. I'll just come back with a marker just to give me an idea where it is. Now what you have to do next is to cut this. You want to gouge this out. It's basically about the thickness of your insert. You want to grind away. We'll do that next. Now you want to be careful, because that's going to be hot. So then as you go, just check. That looks good. Now we'll move over to the drill press. So the next step is to drill a hole for your carbide. What you want to do is you want to center it as best you can. And if you have a punch or an awl, it's best to use that. It also puts a little divot in that your drill bit will follow. So a little divot. Now your drill bit will follow that hole. It'll have a lot less tendency to wander around. So go ahead and we'll open up our package. Pull our drill bit. Now if you don't have a drill press, you still can do this with a hand drill. You don't necessarily need to have a drill press, though it makes it a lot easier. Clamp it down. Make sure we'll reach through. Line it up. Now when drilling steel, it is always a good idea to lubricate. Oil, anything. It keeps the blade cool and helps remove the chips. Just a little. And slowly start drilling it. Don't force it. Back out every once in a while to help clear away the chips. Now through. Next step is to tap it. Next thing to do is to go ahead and tap it. So you want to put a little oil on there. Take a tap and just slowly work it in. Every so often, kind of back off so you break the chips. You hopefully won't break your tap. Every so often, pull it out, just clean the tap off, pull the chips out, add a little more oil. Now, something you may run into, depending on the bits that you buy, is that the screw, the taper on the head, sticks below the insert. What I mean is, you see how this is tapered? So this section right here is sticking below that. So what you need to do, so I just take a little bit larger drill bit, and just kind of drill that out. Make sure when you cinch the screw down, it's going to hold this firmly. Well, that's pretty good. I want to give myself a little peace of mind in case I decide to use a different style bit on this holder. Take a little bit further, cinch down, and now our tool is ready. Next thing to do is square the ends of your blanks. You can do it with a handsaw, but since I have it, I'm going to use a table saw. Next, you want to mark your center location. Then I'm just going to go corner to corner. Now with that marked, it's time to mount it to the lathe. Alright, so we have this mounted between centers now. Next thing to do is to get this round. Now maybe this is your first turning project and you don't have any tools yet. Well, you just made one. You can use this without a handle. You may want to grab a glove or something just to give it a little padding. But you could use this. Now that we have it round, get to decide which end is going to be the top, which one end is going to be the bottom. Meaning the top is where you insert your steel tube. You have to take an account for this here. So I'm going to make this side my top. Make a little mark. Now I know that this end I'm going to cut for this. Now from this whole back section, it's up to you. However you decide that you want your tool to look. Here's one that I've done. Good thing to always do though is to have a fatter end, so if it kicks back, you're not losing the whole tool. You have something to catch on to. Same with the bottom. Here's another one where it flares out real big at the bottom. It feels pretty good in the hand here. Remember, you're making this tool for you. Do what you want. That being said, let's get it going. As you're going, keep checking it. You take a little bit more. closer. And do that. Nope, not quite yet. There we go. Now it is a little bit loose. Took a little bit too much. That's okay. You can just fill it with epoxy or CA glue. Now on to shaping it. This is where you can get really creative. How do you want it to look? Stop every once in a while. Grab a hold of it. That feels good in your hand. Does it need to be a little bit smaller? That's about as thin as I want to go. As you can see, I have a flare here, so that if it ever slips, something to catch onto. From there, just going to keep on working it back. Things like the detailer, you can add some personality. It's up to you what you want to do. Have fun. If you don't like it, throw it in the wood pile, grab some more, try it again. Now that we're at this point, time to sand it. I'm going to start with some 120. Maybe, hopefully. There it goes. I'm going to turn my lathe speed down. I was at 1250. I'm going to go down to 500. Now there are some areas where it tore out, so I'll just keep on sanding a little bit more. still some little areas, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. From here, I'm just going to keep on sanding. Next up, see, apply the finish. So the next thing I'm going to do is apply the finish. Now, depending on what kind of finish you plan on applying, you may want to save this step to last. I'm going to do some boiled linseed oil. So I'm going to do side spill it on the floor, pour a good amount. Turn the lathe on. Now you want to try to keep it as much off of this end here as possible, because you will be gluing here. Next thing to do is to drill the center hole to mount the bar. Now we're going to mount the center hole to mount this into this. I have a 1/2 inch Forstner bit mounted up in the drill press, table swung away, because with this thing on the base, that's how much extra room I have. Now you may be asking yourself, but I thought you're using a 3/8 inch bar. Why are you using a 1/2 inch drill bit? Because it'll focus maybe 3/8 of an inch this way, but it's about 1/2 inch diagonally. You have to take that into consideration. So with that being said, let's start drilling. You can see how far in we are. We're only down to about here. I want to go a little deeper. So what I'll do is I'll grab a 1/2 inch twist bit, insert it in, take out that hot ass bit. So to make this hole deeper, what I've done is I've mounted it into my little workbench, just clamped it in fairly tight, found a 1/2 inch twist bit, and with that Forstner bit hole will allow me to keep it nice and straight. Checking it. A little bit deeper. Now with that bottomed out, see, about that deep now. So it's not just this holding it in. There's area down here to help give it strength. Now at this point, you can get a hold of it, feel, okay, this might be a little bit too long. So you can go ahead, you can trim off this, or you can drill down deeper. This might be pretty good. Or you might want it out a little bit longer, figure out where you want it. Put a little mark. When we fill this with epoxy, you only go down so far. Next thing to do is to mix up the epoxy. Just going to use a piece of old linen dowel. not too worried about it slobbering around. It's my own personal tool. As long as it does the job, that's all that matters to me. Now I have that filled up. Throw some around the outside for the barrel. Now you're done. You just gotta let it sit and cure, and you have your brand new tool ready to use.